Welcome back, everyone. I'm John at Questmarker, and we're off to fight the corruption of the mounted god U as a family squad of world-protecting guardians. So, have you heard about Children of Morta? Children of Morta is a hack-and-slash narrative-driven roguelite, and I'll put emphasis on the hack-and-slash for a moment because, mechanically, this is what makes Morta distinct from other roguelites in the genre, and particularly the other ones I've reviewed on my channel. Dungeon running in this game feels a lot more like Grim Dawn or Diablo than other roguelites I've experienced with. But what is a roguelite, and what should you expect with Children of Morta? If you're new to the genre, the basic system loop goes something along the lines of this. You fight in levels, which here are dungeons taking a variety of forms, and each dungeon you fight an array of normal spawns, ferocious spawns, which are the ones in yellow, and sometimes deadly spawns, which are outlined in red. Each level is capped off by some kind of mini-boss that has a mechanic that you need to learn. Out of the gate, the difficulty is usually fairly high, and you'll die plenty, because you don't really know how systems work, you don't really know what the enemy movement types are or their patterns, and when you die, the run of the dungeon is over. In this sense, there's the permadeath-like mechanic. But you will prevail, because each playthrough you'll be collecting Morv, which is Morta's currency, which you'll use to upgrade either your workshop, which handles things like character health, damage, dodge, chance, and so forth, or the Book of Rhea, which covers stuff like item use and XP gain. Each of these upgrade shops covers all of your cast of characters, so your whole family will get stronger naturally as you progress through the game. You'll also be collecting experience points, which doesn't go away when you die, so even though you might make it 2/3 of the way through a dungeon, if you level up once or twice, you'll be unlocking new abilities, more powerful upgrades. So your little level 1 character or level 0 character, 3 or 4 months, you'll be level 4 or 5, and you'll feel more powerful and you'll be able to handle the challenges before you with a greater ease. In addition, you, the player, will just start to slowly and naturally understand how all the different systems in the game come together. This includes enemy attack patterns, dungeon layout, and boss mechanics. You'll also slowly go, as you realize what are the good combinations of divine graces, relics, and charms, which are kind of the 3 item categories that you'll be able to collect throughout Children of Morta. As well, you'll also learn when and where to activate obelisks, which provide passive and powerful buffs. Like any roguelite, you just kind of get dropped into all of this, and part of overcoming the difficulty is just understanding the mechanics themselves. So once you get a grasp on how to handle those, you're halfway to mastering the game. But why is this more of a hack and slash? Why do I point that in particular? Well, for 2 reasons. The first is that most roguelites wall you off when you enter certain rooms, but here you control the Bergson clan with way more freedom. Crushing through mobs feels more like Grim Dawn than Binding of Isaac, because oftentimes you're trying to simultaneously crowd control and deal the most damage, rather than understanding the intricacies of how to defeat a certain enemy type. I mean, sure, you'll want to know what each of the corrupted do, but after that, it's time to just click, 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 and watch your arrows fly. The second is that leveling up each of the Bergson family members and using their small amount of abilities and how they naturally evolve make each character in each playthrough of the game less dependent on the array of items that you need to collect. The emphasis here is almost as equally on character leveling up and collecting experience as it is in gathering items through each playthrough of a dungeon. In a sense, item collection can sometimes be ignored or given less of a priority, which is different from other roguelites where the emphasis can be on how much to maximize the amount of items you can get in a particular run-through. All of this meshes together to make a pretty fun and rewarding gameplay experience though. You start with 2 members of the Bergson family, each tasked with being guardians of the realm and preventing the corruption from overtaking the world. John is a sword and board daddy, and Linda is the archer violinist eldest child. Not wanting to spoil, but you'll be getting 4 more members of the Bergson clan over the course of the game, which includes an assassin guy, a monk guy, a fire mage girl, and a Warhammer Smash guy. Each of these feel like distinct and unique character types, but one of the mechanical issues I ran into Children of Morta, one of my complaints, was just how powerful the two ranged characters felt in comparison to the rest. Sometimes you'll play a specific character to counter a specific boss. Like for me, John was very strong in defeating that pesky golem. But most of the time, the ability to pick off mobs at a distance really seems to be backbreaking for the enemy in a lot of dungeon runs. The second mechanical hiccup is the inconsistency in difficulty. There were dungeons where I unexpectedly just crushed through everything, boss included. And then that darn golem in level 1-3, so kind of like the world boss for the first dungeon zone, made me restart the game so many frickin' times it was unbelievable. Heck, for me, that was the hardest boss in the entire game, hands down without question. Even more difficult than the evil big bad mountain god, who's the final boss of the entire game. One of my complaints or points of concern in other roguelike games that I've reviewed is a lack of narrative, something to emotionally tie everything together. I want to know why I have to do X or Y thing. I don't know, maybe that's a symptom of getting old, but I need the motivation of the characters to help motivate me as a player. In one instance of the game, John's wife Mary gets captured by the corruption, and I was like, let's go crush the enemy. And that family-focused storytelling in Morta is another element of this game that elevates it from among its peers. You're not just trying to become the very best or something. You're trying to actively both protect the world and protect your family. In addition to kind of the story of the Berkson clan, which I think is compelling and it draws you in emotionally, you come across also these smaller dungeon-contained stories in each of your playthroughs. And some of these were actually really standout moments for me. Like the first time I was unable to save the little white wolf pup, I was devastated. So I made sure I was ready the second time around. There was another darker encounter where I protected a scientist as he went to find a new mechanism to save his bedridden wife. But then, well, you'll see. I wouldn't say the family drama of Children of Morta was fantastic in every sense, but it was something to latch on to. I enjoyed the quiet moments in between the hack and slash. It kept me emotionally invested as I was having fun blowing up goblins for the 6th or 7th time. So all of this is to say is Morta is well worth its approximate $20 asking price. It took me just under 13 hours to vanquish the corruption, but if you're unfamiliar with roguelites and their mechanics, I definitely say this number will creep up closer to the 20-hour mark. It also has a local cooperative mode, which I sadly didn't get to partake in because my cat was too busy slaughtering stormtroopers in Fallen Order. What can you do? But they're also going to be adding online co-op sometime in 2020. So there's that. All in all, Children of Morta gets a positive review. It was a fun 13 hours of play. It offered some emotional storytelling mixed in with fun hack and slash roguelite dungeoneering. And we didn't really get a chance to talk about the well-crafted pixel art, but the video should speak for itself. And I should also briefly mention that this can be played equally with both mouse and keyboard as well as a controller, which can be a rare sight to see in the roguelite genre. Lastly, Children of Morta isn't the most difficult or the most demanding, but it offers a varied, fun, and narratively charged experience. Which means for Questmarker and for me, Children of Morta now gets the honor of being my go-to recommendation for those looking to get into the roguelite genre. So definitely check it out. Try it out, and get back to me on who was your favorite Berkson and who you played in that final climactic battle with the mountain god. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and until next time, folks, happy gaming.